We done had so much fun with PG podcast Paul George. I didn't even waste my time watching his podcast. But I had, sometimes when I'm doing my YouTubes and I'm just kind of viewing or I'm getting inspired by a subject, something just infiltrates and comes by me. This one happened to have DeAndre Jordan when he was on there. And I'm late. I don't know how late I am. Anyway, Paul George was doing podcasting because he wasn't playing or nothing as usual. But anyway, in the podcast, DeAndre Griffin said, DeAndre Jordan, because I can't even say names right no more. DeAndre Jordan said that if Blake Griffin came out today, and I think Paul George and them were echoing, they said he'd be worth $500 million. Am I right? So it's funny. I just had a Sean Kemp video flowed my way where Sean Kemp was actually talking about him. And he said those dunks, which were nice, he said they weren't my dunks. He said, because I did backwards forwards like I was doing. Kemp actually did real dunks. Blake just lobby dunked it. So they Lob City was not better than Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. And if Blake Griffin was worth $500 million, then I guess that means Sean Kemp was worth $750 million. That means Steph Curry would be worth 1.5 billion. Because remember, Blake Griffin was drafted number 1 in 2009. He was 6 spots higher than Steph Curry. How did that turn out? Steph Curry got more rings than Blake Griffin got rounds in postseason. Let that sink in. Oh yeah, we know before Mac did that dunk or jump of the car. We saw Blake Griffin with the choir doing "I Believe I Could Fly," but that was his highlight. Injured and considered soft because he couldn't shoot. He was a one-trick pony. 500 million. Cats be saying the wildest things. I know the video is old. You can look it up on the podcast P. Type it in with DeAndre Jordan. But it came on my feeder and I couldn't help it because it was a short clip. I couldn't help but cracking up when they said 500 million. I'm like, they be throwing numbers out. I'm like, if you're gonna give him 500 million for his dunking, then you got to give Vince Carter like 3 billion. Jordan gets 2.5 billion. And in-game dunking, Sean Kemp gonna get 1 billion. If you're gonna go by that logic, if we're gonna use that as a criteria, Dominique Wilkins would be getting a 2 billion. If we go, I mean, come on now. We can't be saying no mess like this guy, like, oh, you should have seen him. Yeah, I saw him. He was a one-trick pony. He was considered soft. He didn't have much of a shot. He could leap. He had spring in him, but that's all he really had. His game never evolved. He didn't really fluctuate more than what he was. He was athletic and entertaining, but when he dried up, he dried up. And I'm cracking up these turkeys up here tomorrow. Yeah, 500 million. I'm like, really? Lob City, all this stuff. Cause look, he got up, but his dunks weren't like Sean Kemp. He's a junior whopper, Sean Kemp. And that's being kind. But I couldn't believe it when you know, the Paul George podcast talking about Blake Griffin. They actually said that on the they actually said Blake Griffin would be paid 500 million today on the Paul. I give Paul George credit. They funny. They got a lot of time to laugh and hee and kiki and kiki because you don't spend no time on the court. Them 2 points in 37 minutes. And obviously did something to his sales, but I ain't mad at him. If he can maneuver and say crazy stuff, no wonder his streams are up. Because this was funny. Anybody who saw Blake Griffin the last 14, 15 years, and he was coming out today would say 500 million. We got to talk. Because I must didn't get the memo. I watched him play. Okay. Anyway, let me know what you think about that statement by DeAndre Jordan, who thought he was the second coming of Shaq because they did the hacker Jordan. He didn't play for half the teams. He's doing pretty good as a backup for Jokic. Who, by the way, Jokic could get crazy money too. But we know he's 5 times the player Blake Griffin is, but we ain't gonna tell DeAndre Jordan that because he's in that Delulu land. And he did get to ride off of him. Didn't ride far though, because you know the Clippers. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like and hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay funny, because there's a lot of comedians out here. I'm out.